What are your thoughts? We were just showing these eerily quiet live pictures of Gaza a few moments ago, but all indications are that something, an escalation in this war between Israel and Hamas is going to be happening soon.
Well, I think that's right, Jim. I think it's pretty clear. We all know what's coming, which is an Israeli ground invasion of Gaza. And there are a lot of different ways this could go. But as a veteran of a few ground invasions myself, 4 tours in Iraq, I can tell you there are a lot of mistakes that Israel can make in the coming days. And so it's going to be a very tough operation. It's not going to be easy to fight through an urban environment like that. It'd be very difficult. And if Israel is not careful to make sure that as many innocent lives are preserved as possible, then they run into this problem that we call insurgent math, where they risk creating more insurgents, recruiting more people to the cause than Hamas fighters that they actually kill. So in other words, how Israel conducts this operation is critical not just for the safety of the people of Gaza, for the safety of the people of Israel, but ultimately for their success in this war.
Well, and earlier this afternoon, we spoke with a spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces, and he was indicating that the Palestinians who have been asked to leave, ordered to leave northern Gaza, have a little more time to make their way to southern Gaza. Perhaps this is what Israel wants the world to hear. I'm sure that's what it is, that they want to give the Palestinians as much time as possible to move to that southern part of Gaza. But he was very clear later on in the interview that Israeli Defense Forces are prepared to move in, and that they will stay in that part of the world for as long as they think it's necessary to take out the leadership of Hamas. And I asked him, does that mean days, possibly weeks? And he seemed to indicate that yes, that they are prepared to stay as long as the mission takes. But that seems to go to the question that you've raised, the concern that you've raised, which is they may be stuck in some very hard fighting in the days and weeks ahead.
That's right. I mean, we went into Afghanistan thinking it would be a few weeks, maybe a couple months. We went into Iraq thinking probably it would be a few months longer than that. And 20 years later, we were still in those wars. And the problem, again, is that if the mission is to destroy Hamas, but by being there and essentially antagonizing the civilian population, killing innocent people, you're going to recruit more people to the cause. So you might be killing Hamas fighters, but they're busy recruiting more people, and it's not that hard to recruit fighters for the opposition if they see their families getting wiped out. So this is a very difficult operation. It really is a counterinsurgency operation. In the 1st Marine Division in Iraq, we had our division motto was no better friend, no worse enemy than a United States Marine. Now, of course, that meant that, for our enemy, for Hamas in this case, you'll find no fiercer foe. We will hunt you down. We will kill you. Don't oppose us. But on the other hand, the first part of that phrase, no better friend, is really important too. And if Israel doesn't show that they can take care of the civilian population, that fundamentally it's smarter for the civilian population to side with the IDF than to side with the Hamas terrorists, then they're not going to win the long war. They're not going to win the long battle. And what I hear out of Israel is a lot of talk about the tactics on the ground for how they're going to take out Hamas. I don't hear much about this bigger picture strategy to produce a long-term viable political solution for all the innocent civilians in the Gaza Strip. The innocent civilians need to see a future that's not just war, or they'll simply join the other side.
And just shifting to the connection to some domestic politics, and that is the House of Representatives still does not have a speaker at this hour. What are the risks of not having a House Speaker during this major international crisis?
Well, they're significant, and I think they're in 2 big categories, Jim. First of all, we can't do anything as a United States Congress. We can't even pass a simple resolution to affirm our support for Israel. We certainly can't pass bills to get aid to Israel, any additional aid that they might need that requires congressional support. Of course, we haven't been able to provide any additional aid for Ukraine or any of the other international issues around the globe. So that's the fundamental problem that we face right now. But the other problem is that our adversaries, Russia and China, for example, are looking at the United States right now and just seeing this dysfunction. The GOP civil war that has consumed the House has the risk of consuming American politics writ large And that's how our adversaries are making it out. They're saying that, look, the United States, this democracy is dysfunctional. They can't work. I think in the long run, we're going to see that part of the reason Hamas chose this time to attack Israel is because of all the domestic political dysfunction in the Netanyahu government. And so we are at a national security risk ourselves in America if our adversaries see us as politically weak. And when you don't have a speaker for the first time in American history in the House of Representatives, it's kind of hard to argue that we're not experiencing some serious political dysfunction.
Well, and just to follow up on that, Republicans, as you know, have nominated Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan as their next House Speaker. Can you work with him?
I mean, look, we'll try to work with anyone. Democrats have been offering to Republicans from day one to produce a compromise speaker, someone that we can make a deal with. The Democrats might even support in a speaker election, something that you never see in the House of Representatives. So we're going way out there as Democrats to try to help the GOP solve this problem. But speaking to some of my Republican friends yesterday, as they were leaving Washington for the weekend, they're incredibly frustrated to the point of just being angry, despondent at the total dysfunction in their conference. This is a GOP civil war. Now, Jim Jordan is on one extreme side of that. He's an extremist that the Republicans somehow think was going to get enough votes to be Speaker. What my Republican friends say, and they tend to be more moderate, is that he's not going to have the votes to be Speaker, and so he probably won't be Speaker, but we might go through several more days of dysfunction within the GOP caucus as they try to figure out if he can get the votes on the floor.
All right. Congressman Seth Moulton, really appreciate the time this evening. Thanks so much.
Good to see you, Jim.